Welcome back to Drag Vault, a podcast where we peel back the lashes, wigs, and catchphrases to uncover the deeper stories behind the world's most dazzling competition. Last episode, we celebrated the villains, the queens who stole our attention with shade, scandal, and unfiltered honesty. But something happened along the way. Drag Race grew up. The queens got savvier. The audience grew louder. And suddenly, that electric drama, those iconic rivalries, began to fade. Today, we're asking, what happened to the villains of Drag Race? Why does the show feel different now? Sweeter, smoother, more sanitized? Was it a natural evolution, or did we lose something vital along the way? This is episode 2, The Death of the Villain. The early days of Drag Race were a wild frontier. The production was smaller, the contestants rawer, and the boundaries looser. Nobody quite knew what this show was going to be. In season 2, you had Tyra Sanchez, the sleepy, unimpressed beauty who clashed with nearly everyone. The internet dragged her mercilessly, and editors leaned in. Tyra was framed as untouchable, arrogant, and cruel. By the finale, she was both reviled and revered. That was the blueprint. Drag Race leaned into the time-honored reality show tradition of archetypes: the innocent ingenue, the underdog, the shady bitch, the delusional queen. It worked. Every season needed tension, heroes and villains, laughter and tears. Back then, no one talked about the edit. It felt spontaneous. The confessional format rewarded hyper-competence. If you delivered one cutting remark, you got screen time. And screen time meant fame. But as early fans replayed episodes, GIFs, and memes online, they began to notice the patterns, the music cues, the villain sound effects, the slow-motion eye rolls. The magic trick was exposed. By season 6, queens entered the workroom already strategizing. How do I stay out of the villain cut? When everyone's self-editing, the unpredictability begins to fade. Imagine you've waited your whole life to be cast on Drag Race. You've poured thousands into costumes and wigs. Then, after just one heated moment, producers frame you as the mean one. Several queens have since opened up about how editing shaped their public perception. Fifi O'Hara famously called out producers for manufacturing drama. She argued that the show thrived on narrative manipulation, not authenticity. The Vixen, in season 10, brought this conversation into the open on camera. During Untucked, she refused to play scapegoat for rising tension. She said point blank, "I came to fight, but I came to fight for understanding." It wasn't villainy. It was honesty about how Black queer anger is often misread. That moment was revolutionary. For the first time, a queen directly exposed how race, personality, and editing intersect. It forced the fandom, and future contestants, to see the puppet strings. After that, the villain edit lost its innocence. A queen fighting for airtime now risked being targeted by an online mob. So the show evolved. The producers adjusted. The tone softened. The rise of social media made Drag Race interactive. Twitter threads, Reddit debates, YouTube recaps. Fans analyzed every frame. A shady confessional wasn't just a moment, it was a meme in the making. And sometimes, the volatility crossed the line. Queens received death threats, doxing, and hateful DMs. Some turned off comment sections altogether. The show couldn't ignore it. The fandom, while passionate, had become volatile. As the producers faced backlash, the editing philosophy shifted from "let's create tension" to "let's protect everyone involved." Compare early Untucked, chaotic, confrontational, full of cigarettes and shouting, with today's polished set, soothing lighting, and emotional group hugs. Drag Race exchanged chaos for catharsis. Drama gave way to dialogue. Queens no longer screamed over one another. Now they process feelings on camera. On one hand, it's progress. On the other, it's safe. The show lost a certain wild energy, that sense that anything could happen behind those mirrors. And for fans who came for the drama, the new Drag Race sometimes feels like a glittering therapy circle. It's easy to forget how massive Drag Race has become. What started as a niche queer production on a small cable network is now a global media franchise spanning over 15 countries. There's Drag Race UK, España, France, Philippines, Down Under, Brazil. The list keeps growing. Each version expands the brand's influence and profitability. For a franchise this global, maintaining a feel-good tone isn't just ethical, it's strategic. Villains are a risk. They spark discourse, and discourse can threaten sponsors. When Drag Race went mainstream, partnerships with beauty brands and streaming platforms demanded a gentler product. The environment needed to be safe for advertisers. In other words, no more raging Tyra Sanchez moments, thank you very much. So the show adopted a corporate warmth, glittery optimism with a dash of self-help. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else became a mission statement, not just a catchphrase. The cutthroat edges of competition blurred. The show's emotional tone turned motivational. Queens became ambassadors rather than antagonists. And it worked. The fandom kept growing. Casual viewers joined. Parents watched with their kids. Drag Race became comfort TV, bright, affirming, and increasingly predictable. Yet, even as the show softened, it found new storytelling territory: vulnerability. The modern equivalent of a villain arc is an emotional reveal. When a contestant opens up about trauma, identity, or resilience, it replaces confrontation with confession. Instead of battling other queens, contestants battle their own pain. It's television adaptation at its most efficient, emotional peaks without the toxicity. Still, something is lost. Vulnerability and villainy used to coexist. Bianca Del Rio could read you for filth and hug you afterward. That rhythm of shade, tension, reconciliation, it mirrored queer friendship, messy but real. When the show filters out those messy dynamics, it risks flattening drag's spirit. Drag culture has always thrived on tension, wit, resistance, rebellion. The modern dynamic is beautiful, but at times overly polite. Audiences sense the shift. Drag Race once felt defiant. Now it feels diplomatic. Around the world, international versions applied their own cultural filters. Drag Race Thailand focused on artistry and spirituality, bringing Buddhist philosophy into the workroom. Drag Race España emphasized performance excellence and queer pride. Drag Race UK balanced humor and heart, where villains usually turned out to be cheeky rivals, not true antagonists. The global spread of drag normalized compassion over conflict. But watch closely. Tension still exists, just coded differently. You'll see it in strategic confessionals, subtle reads, or a queen's quiet frustration when her runway flops. The editing doesn't punish it, it humanizes it. That's evolution, and perhaps redemption for how earlier queens were treated. The new generation learned, you don't need to be a villain to be memorable. You just need to be authentic, or at least appear to be. Here's the paradox. With no villains, Drag Race lost narrative contrast. Without shade, light loses meaning. The workroom now feels like a mutual support society. Everyone cheers for everyone. Even the eliminations are gentle. On social media, fans say they love this positivity, but the engagement numbers tell another story. Episodes packed with conflict trend higher, meme faster, and linger longer. Deep down, audiences crave friction. It's not cruelty, it's connection through complexity. The obstacle makes triumph sweeter. When every storyline is redemption, redemption loses impact. Maybe villains weren't villains after all. Maybe they were catalysts, the messy, furious pulse that kept the workroom alive. So, has Drag Race outgrown its villains or suppressed them? Maybe what we're seeing is maturity, a community reimagining itself beyond conflict. Or maybe villains haven't disappeared at all. Maybe they've just gone quiet, lurking behind the next dramatic pause, waiting for the next queen brave enough to take the blame so others can be adored. Because in every workroom, whether shouted or whispered, there's always one truth. Drag is conflict and communion in equal measure. The villain may be gone, but her legacy is stitched into every sequin of this show's story. I'm Adam, and this was The Death of the Villain.
Away from my face.